All right, Dave, I'm glad that we're both here looking at your 31 AV8 Hemi powered hot rod that you just finished up. And the point of all this is for an appraisal and for letting people know how you built the car and a little bit more about it. So, Dave, can you tell me the difference between a street rod and a hot rod?
Well, a street rod doesn't have air conditioning and radios and power windows and all that extra stuff. It just has the basic needs: transmission, hot motor, big rear end. That's a hot rod.
Oh my God. So, Dave, when did you get infatuated with building hot rods?
It's been many years ago at the Bonneville Salt Flats. And I rode my Harley down there to watch the Phoenix run and saw all these hot rods. So I decided that I'm going to build one and I'm going to drive it to Bonneville Salt Flats the next year. And I did.
How long ago was that, Dave?
That was about probably close to 15 years ago.
Wow, Dave, how many cars have you built?
I think this is number 11.
And
number 12 and 13 are in the garage.
you're already starting on them.
Yes, I am.
So, Dave, how do you have a really big garage, or what do you do when you have too many cars?
I bring them down and let my buddy Ted store them for me and occasionally sell them for me.
Because I am pretty weak when it comes to that department, aren't I?
Yeah. He's kind of soft heart. Like
Yeah.
Ted does.
So we'll talk about this car in particular. And so, where did you get the body and the frame?
The frame came from Blackboard Hot Rod in Sacramento, and
Yeah.
the body came from Roseburg, Oregon.
You bought this car body locally?
Yeah.
Huh.
I didn't. It came from Roseburg.
I'm talking to Paul.
What?
This will be one of our better efforts, I can tell you already.
Oh, I'm confused now.
I know that, but it came. So it came from Roseburg, and you bought this body because
Because it's the nicest Model A body that I've ever seen. The car had zero rust. No, I shouldn't say zero rust. It had a rust hole about the size of a quarter in the right rear quarter panel.
okay, and you were so happy about this, you saved that little piece, didn't you?
I did.
All right, good. And that goes with the car if you ever decide to sell it.
Goes with the car.
All right, and so I mentioned this was an AV8, and maybe you could tell me a little bit more about what an AV8 31 is.
AV8 originally was a 1932 Ford flathead V8, and they would put a Model A body on the 32 frame because of the V8.
And so what did that require doing?
They would have to pinch the frame a little bit because the Model A body was a little bit narrower. That's why they did that, so they could go just a little bit faster.
So it was like this Model A V8 was kind of a hot rod trick back in the day.
Yes, it was.
All right, and so that's something that has been emulated by 31 builders ever since.
Yes, it has.
Okay, so basically you had your Model A V8 frame and this body, and so why don't you tell me a little bit more about what happened next?
Well, I had the 1957 Chrysler Hemi rebuilt by Jerry Peckham here in Grants Pass.
Where'd you get the motor?
The motor came from Runaway Tractor on here in Grants Pass.
Well, they had these in tractors?
No, they did not have them in tractors, but the guy that sells the tractors is into Hemis too.
Oh, so he had a bunch of motors and you bought one from him.
Yes, I bought several motors from him.
So, okay, good. And then you had Jerry Peckham rebuild the motor.
Yes.
And so tell me about the rebuild a little bit.
Well, the rebuild, so it could be driven on the street, has stock compression, has a nice cam in it. And the best part of this motor is it's got a Hillborn electronic fuel injection.
Okay, well,
you can see in the pictures.
which I've taken. So when you say a nice cam, and is that a stock cam or a mild cam
No,
or
that's a mild cam.
mild cam?
Good streetable cam.
Okay. And so you have the Hillborn fuel injection on that, and that's
Yes.
brand new.
That's brand new.
Okay, so and that's got to be kind of an expensive, scarce item.
Yes, it is not real scarce, but quite expensive. You can buy them new from
Can you?
Hillborn.
Okay, and I'm looking at a bunch of extremely beautiful billet and polished aluminum parts.
There's not one billet piece on this car. They're all either cast aluminum or polished aluminum. I don't put billet on my cars.
Well, I
It's
stand
the
corrected,
wrong
Dave.
era.
Sorry, Dave.
That's okay. Yeah.
And you didn't shave the door handles either.
Did not.
Ah,
I
good.
like shiny door handles.
Okay, so these parts came from these Hemi aluminum parts came from.
They came from all over. O'Brien Truckers, Hot Heads Research and Engineering. They're the Hemi specialists.
Okay,
The water pump adapters and the transmission adapter and some other stuff comes from Hot Heads.
the alternate water pump adapter.
It has a big block Chevy water pump
Really? Okay.
and an aluminum crossover. Get rid of all that heavy Hemi iron on the front of the motors. It cleans them up.
I remember when you were building it, you were talking about the oil pressure.
Yeah, we redid the stock oil pressure. It had a bypass system on it originally. Now it has a full flow oiling system in it.
Okay, and there was, and you said adapter for the transmission. It doesn't have the stock transmission from
No,
a
it's
Hemi.
got a new Tremec 5-speed transmission.
Okay, and so the rear end of the car.
It's got a 9-inch Ford rear end with a 411 Positrack in it.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
They need a good stout rear end to handle that motor.
411 should get it to 0 to 60 pretty quick.
It's a real nice gear. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, we'll leave that alone because these tires are real small. I would imagine that they struggle to keep up with that much power and gearing.
A little bit.
A little bit.
But they look nice.
They look really good. And these wheels that are on it are from,
Rocket Racing.
really? Are they magnesium or aluminum?
They're aluminum.
Okay.
A dry lakes looking wheel.
I was looking at the front brakes on this car. Maybe you could talk about the front suspension a little bit.
The whole front suspension, including hairpins, axle, brakes, all came from SoCal Speed Shop. It's their hidden disc brake setup.
Hidden disc brake setup.
Yeah, behind Buick brake drums.
So explain that to me a little bit.
It makes them stop real well.
Well, but it looks like brake drums on the outside.
It looks like brake drums.
Are those aluminum brake drums?
Yes, they are.
And so the rear axle has a similar, are those covers on it then?
They're covers on the rear axle.
So
And
that's
on the front axle. Too.
Okay,
They
that's-
cover the disc brakes.
that's extremely nice.
It's a pretty cool setup.
It looks good. I took a lot of pictures of that. I didn't realize what I was looking at.
Yeah. The back has 12-inch police special drum brakes.
From what year?
They're aftermarkets, new.
Okay. And okay. Well, that's all the mechanical stuff. And we talked about where the body came from. Maybe you can tell me a little bit more about the body.
Well, the body is, I did a 4-inch chop on it. It's a little bit much for some people, but I like it that way. They look nice.
Okay. For some people, it is a lot of a chop, isn't it?
It is. Not everyone fits in the car.
And so we'll just leave that alone, Dave.
Yes.
All right. But it is a beautiful look. What else did you do, Dave?
Well, I made a engine turn dash panel for it. It's rather unique.
Okay.
Has all black leather interior.
Wow.
Everything's leather. Headliner. Everything.
And did you do any other mods to the body besides removing 4 inches?
Not a lot. It's got I put a roll bar in the car for safety that actually is attached to the frame and is a real roll bar.
Real roll bar. Did Model A's have all those louvers in them?
No, the Model A's didn't have the louvers. That's a dry lakes thing that.
Okay.
And it has,
Louvers are.
A lot of louvers in it.
I don't think I've ever seen louvers pinstriped quite that way either.
My pinstriper was pretty happy with me. I originally asked him to paint a slice of watermelon on every louver, but he laughed at me and said no. So we just did a nice single pinstripe on all. I'm not sure how many there are, but there's over a couple hundred for sure.
Wow. I wouldn't doubt you, Dave, but I would just guess your estimating is just as accurate as your counting.
Yes,
Okay, we'll leave that alone too.
we'll count them. I mean,
We'll count them in the end. We'll do, that's a project. Now the grill assembly is from what?
that's a 32 Ford grill
Okay.
insert.
All right. And so we have a 31 Model A body, 32 Model A grill insert.
And 32 frame.
Okay. So how did you get the hood to match the body?
They're a custom-made hood. I have a company down in again Sacramento build the hoods. Root Lib Hoods built the hood.
So it's a custom hood.
It's a custom hood because this hood is a couple inches longer than a Model A hood.
Really?
I stretch the frames out a little bit so I don't have to cut the firewall, which in turn gives you much more leg room.
Ah.
And you can stretch out pretty good in this car.
One of the things that I have witnessed over the years is you seem to enjoy driving your cars. I mean, it isn't like you build them and park them and never drive them, sort them out, figure out what needs to be done, and try and sell it. You actually use the car for a period of time.
Yes, I'll always keep them for a couple of years. I drive the wheels off them. I've been to the salt flats with them. Not this car yet. It hasn't been driven on any long trips yet. But
Yeah. Do you think that's in the future?
it is in the future.
All right. And the paint was applied by.
Chris Morris, he's a former painter of mine that still comes in and paints my hot rods for me.
Did he do the prep or did you?
He did the prep.
So there's nobody. You only got one chef in the kitchen.
There's another young man that did the body work on it.
Okay. At your shop?
Not at my shop.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about with this car that comes to mind?
Well, I love building Model A's, as you can see. I spend a lot of time on small details that probably 95% of people would not even notice.
Well, give me an example for one.
Oh, like on the rear end, I radiused all the sharp corners on it, which takes hours to do on all the bracketry. It's all rounded off nicely. It's not just flame cut parts anymore.
Huh. So
I had on this one I had the chassis powder coated.
Wow.
Black.
It looks like it's red though.
And then we painted the outside frame rails red because I wanted the underneath of the car to be all black and to never ever rust.
Ever rust. When you were doing the interior, I assume you insulated it and so forth, or?
Yeah, it has Dynamat all through it.
Okay.
Has a cloth top on it, made out of Hart's cloth.
Okay. And the glass is something you can buy or you had made?
All the glass is made. The roll-up windows I had made and then tempered.
Wow.
And they all have real nice radiuses on the edges of the glass too.
And the interior was done by?
Greg's Upholstery here in town.
Okay, great. And he does really nice work.
He does real nice work.
So it sounds like a really thought out project, one based on years of having built cars before, similar cars, and just kind of fine tuning your expectations and where you're going. So Dave, do you think that you talk about a couple more cars? Are you going to build similar cars after this, or is this kind of the pinnacle of the Hemi builds?
This is kind of the pinnacle of the Hemi builds. I normally don't put shiny paint on them, but I wanted to build the perfect Model A this time, and I think I've done pretty good.
I think you did really well. I know there's a couple of minor things you're still working towards finishing up. And you're hoping to put this on the road and have a little bit of driving this spring, I assume.
Yes, I'm going to put some miles on it.
Okay, good. and the other cars will just have to wait outside.
They'll wait inside.
Oh, so you've made room in your shop for your
Yeah,
projects.
now that I have this one stored at Ted's kind of establishment here, I'm hoping he'll let me leave it here for the winter, but I don't think he will.
Can you pick it up tomorrow?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You're a trooper. Well, Dave, I want to thank you for your time. I know that you're a busy guy, but I also know that you love talking about your cars and the way you build them.
Well, yeah, I was a little bit coerced into this. I really don't like talking about my cars that much, but I did it for my buddy Ted.
Because I kept this car here for 3 days for you.
3 weeks.
Months.
Weeks.
It feels like months.
It may feel like months,
It's weeks.
but you're pretty lucky to be able to
See the car every day when I come into work and I trip on it.
Yeah.
I know. Dave, I appreciate your time, and I'm going to bring this to a close. Is there anything else you want to add?
No,
You're sure?
I'm sure.
All right, Dave. Thank you.
Goodbye.